Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm going to talk today about my topic is bridging the gap between the patient self-perception and the therapist apperception. I'm a psychotherapist. I have a degree in cognitive behavior therapy, and I teach in Rotem. It's a center for practical professional training, and work in kelim shluvim, diagnosis, treatment, and supervision, treatment. Okay. I'm going to present today this procedure, cyclic procedure, that came out of research of 13 years of research that I made together with my business associate and Anat Ben Salmon, and together with Dr. Anna Crystal Lilov. We investigated this procedure that we make in clinic in order to close the gap between my understanding and the patient's self-perception. There is a big importance to understand and to verify whether my understanding is correct. And usually when we come to a conclusion about conceptualization, certain conceptualization, and we're checking it backward, we have a tendency to find exactly the things that originally brought us to this understanding. So we have a procedure to check our understandings and to verify whether my conceptualization is close to the self-perception of the patient. So I work with the kids, adolescents, young adults, and the families over 3 decades. And this is basically the, I can say, the professional background that is in the bottom of what I do with my patients. I present myself to them and asking the patient to describe himself and why he requests help. So basically the patient presents its needs, is affected by who I am, my personality, the way I speak. He wants to, he hopes that what he wants from the therapy session will bring him to his, needs, right? So the way I present it is affected by my personality, the therapist personality, and then is trying to bring his wishes from the therapy process into my understanding. Now, when he's talking, when he's communicating, everything he does is managed by structure and mechanism of organizing guiding principle. This is what promotes his goal in a certain circumstances. In this case, it's my compliance for his needs. And I can see it in the way he speaks, the way he talks, the justification he uses, the words that he's using. Everybody has a theoretical orientation, so do I. And everybody is conceptualizing his understanding out of his theoretical orientation. So I utilize it, and while I'm doing it, I will focus on specific aspects in the patient's choice of issues, words, behaviors, body language, and with accordance to my theoretical orientation, obviously I will reach a conceptualization. I reach a perspective. I will get an idea about what the patient is asking me and what I'm supposed to do in these circumstances, what he hopes to reach in the therapy process, and what is my part in it. It's important because as a therapist, I have a part in the process and I suppose I'm supposed to understand his expectation and to make it clear for both of us. So after I'm hypothesizing is organizing guiding principle, I'm inferring the patient expectation for the process and my role, and from this I'm making basically intervention. This intervention will provoke explicit reaction. It will confirm or reject my hypothesis. Now, if my hypothesis is confirmed, everything is cool, I know what's happening, I understand what is happening, I can keep on focusing, building my understanding, inflating it, right? But if the patient reaction reject my hypothesis, it is an anomaly, which signifies that my understanding is not correct, is incorrect. Okay, now I was expecting some response or some reaction from the patient, and the reaction that he was exhibiting was not what I was anticipated. So I need to dissect my hypothesis in order to reconceptualize the patient OGP, and I have to take a look on my basic assumptions while conceptualizing this OGP. Okay, I need to amend them. Okay, I identify the attributes that indicates the discrepancy between the expected and the predicted reaction. Now it's quite a simple logic, mathematics. I expected reaction A because I assumed that B. In fact, the reaction was C. So how does reaction C amends my initial assumptions? What should I change in my initial assumption in order to be able to predict such an outcome? Just for example, I can think about, I was expecting that from what the patient was talking, I came to the conclusion that he needs some empathy, that I need to be empathic and give him some empathic encouragement and recognition that indeed he's in a very difficult situation. So I make my intervention in this direction, and then suddenly he's doing some face and said, I don't need anyone to pity me. Oh, okay. So it means that whatever I conceptualized about what he needs from me in these circumstances is wrong. So I need to go backward and try to figure out how come I came to this conclusion, why I reached this idea that that's what he needs from me. So I'm rethinking what's happening in the conversation between us and looking for the segments. Okay, I'm retroducting into exploring my background, whether it is in conversation, in this conversation, or it is the theoretical orientation that I have, because I'm using it in order to conceptualize my idea. I can identify the past scenarios in the conversation and in my memory that bear this notion out of which I was extracting the idea that it needs my empathy. And I'm basically inducting, okay, new concepts. I'm like reconceptualizing my concepts and rebuild my understanding. And when I'm doing it, eventually I have few understandings, few concepts. I will abduct meaning out of this process and reach new hypotheses about what should be his desire in these circumstances, his organizing principle, how he will react if I will suggest let's say, confrontation. Maybe it doesn't need empathy. It needs something like confrontation. It needs to be confronted on this idea. I will deduce practical implication. I will think about how it will look like, how it will make it happen. I will estimate how the patient will react in a chosen intervention from several options that have the ability to verify my hypothesis, out of which I will choose one and design probe. In the probe, I'm already going on a very specific procedure that I will think that will give me a very specific response. This is my intervention. Now, while intervening, I should look carefully in real time on the patient reaction. Either he's pleased or rejecting whatever I'm saying. It's is confirming or denial, okay? Something that you can see very easy. And basically, his reaction exhibit the range and the scope of his position in respect to my hypothesis and whatever I was performing out of it. So I can see the hypothesis reaction that I was looking for, and I can see if I'm correct or if I made another mistake, and I need to do another round. So the outcome will either confirm or refute my new developed understanding, conceptualization. And if it will be confirmed by the patient reaction, then again, I will go to another round. And like the first one, that I understand that this is what I understand and is confirming my understanding. If again, I will receive another anomaly, another reaction that wasn't anticipated by me, I will do this second procedure of anomaly detecting again and again and again until I will close the gap and go back to understanding between me and my patient. That's the procedure and that's the cycle. Now, if anyone has a question, I will be more than happy to answer your questions. I must say that this procedure, this is an epistemology. So basically, I believe that this epistemology can be used just in psychotherapeutic procedures, but in other procedures, while trying to bridge the gap between any outcome that we see and yes, Tamana.
Hi, I have a question. So how long this process can take place?
It can take place between several seconds because you are doing it very fast in your mind, and even a few minutes, because it's not something that you have to do directly in every stage. It can be in a conversation, blend into a conversation, and then I'm talking and I'm in real time, I'm already calculating what I'm going to do next. I'm listening and talking and then intervening.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. More questions?
So the whole process it's about the therapist's understanding of the patient and not the other way around, or there's a relationship?
No, it's about closing the gap between my understanding as therapist and the patient's reality. I have a theoretical idea about what is human and what is the therapeutic meetings and what patients need out of me. And with this, I usually come to the meeting, and from this, I will usually understand what they want out of me. But I might be wrong. I might not understand them right. Now, not always they can speak and talk in specific in words what they need. Sometimes you can see it out of their reaction. So this is something that is taking consideration in something which is a little bit more than language. More than language. I can see all the reaction. I can see that if he's happy with it, approve with it. This is part of the expectation that I have. It's not just word that he is using. It's about all the reaction that he will provide. Whether there is an adequate response to whatever I was thinking should come, or it's a little bit different. Why it is different? Where is this different come from? Usually people neglect anomaly. In my case, and in any case, anomaly bear a lot of important information, and by understanding the source of the anomaly and why it is appearing, we can increase our knowledge with regard to the subject and see other aspects that we weren't familiar to in advance. This is an internal process of a therapist that happens while he's communicating with this patient. This is what is happening in the therapist's mind.
I have another question, please.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, what is the objective of the therapist in this situation? Like, what is he expecting to achieve from this patient? Like, does he want him to understand the situation, or he or she, or does he want him to feel happy and accept all the dysregulation inside his or her head?
This is more related to my understanding as a psychotherapist and checking my understanding whether I did understand correct the patient. It's my responsibility that my patient will understand me, but before he can understand me, I need to understand him. Now, if I got a certain idea in my mind about what's happening to him, what his position, what does he want from me, this is an hypothesis. I need to check it. I need to be assured that what I think is indeed the situation. The fact that I reached this conclusion is not enough for me to declare that this is the situation. So I had a circle of communication between me and him. I was presenting myself, he was answering, and then I'm doing an intervention from a specific idea. So if I got him right, if I understood him, then he needs to react in a certain manner. But if I didn't understood him right, because I was coming from a certain perspective into my intervention, his reaction will be anomaly for my thinking. This is what I'm interrogating. I'm researching that. I'm researching the differences between what was expected and what was actually performed by the patient. And I try to analyze what should be different so I can anticipate him. So that when I'm doing this procedure, basically, I'm coming with a new, broader understanding of his, for example, what he wants from the therapy process, or whatever question that I have in mind, or whatever understanding that I have in mind, in front of any case, I can do this procedure. And if I'm right, I get a verification of my theory, because I did a practical intervention and got an outcome that was really what I was predicting it in accordance with the theory. So if I had the ability to predict the outcome, I'm probably right. Until the point that I will not be able to predict what he's doing, and then I'm wrong. And then I need to check why I'm wrong and go and rebuild my understanding and my conceptualization.
Okay, so very, very interesting research, actually. Well done, and good luck with your research.
Thank you very much. More questions?
Any question to Dr. Rotem?
Rotem is the center for the
Sorry, I have one more question. May I ask you one more question, please?
Okay.
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 I'm just curious. So, what could be the risk for this for the patient in this procedure? Like, what could be his or her upgradation of mental situation or degradation of the mental situation in this whole procedure? If it is wrong, or if the therapist is not doing well, well in a sense that if the therapist is not doing the procedure well, then what could be the highest risk for the patient?
The highest risk is usually by not doing it, because there is a big risk of suggestion. Usually, I will not double, triple check my understanding. If I understood something, I might go forward with this and not be attentive to the patient's real situation. Now, in this case, I am all the time checking myself. All the time, I'm trying to, you are a practitioner, you are doing some procedure, you need to think what will be the outcome. You are not experiencing. So you are thinking about, if I'm intervening this way, how should look the response? Now, if the response is not what I was thinking it to be, so probably I'm a mistake. So I need to amend my way of thinking with regard to these circumstances. When the patient sees that I'm doing it, so is getting a very strong notion of me seeing him, and is getting a very strong notion that his way to perceive himself and the situation is acknowledged and is part of my process of building the conceptualization, because I'm amending it in accordance to his reaction. And he can see that I'm amending it. He can see that I'm changing with accordance to what he's expressing. This is a very, very strong and important impact for the patient, and very therapeutic, because many patients come to clinic because no one sees them. And if the therapist is not doing this, is risking at being another person that is looking at them and criticizing them or judging them or telling them something without acknowledging their reactions and whatever they want to exhibit out of themselves. So not doing it is very dangerous. You need to check, double check, triple check, and doing it will bring them a lot of relief, because they will see that you are not correcting them, you are not explaining them, you are correcting yourself, your own understanding.
Very nice, really very nice, well done.
Any question for Dr. Rotem? Any question? Thank you very much, Dr. Rotem.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next.